Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Apart from Arnie and Carl, you haven't met me in real life. You've only seen my ugly mug on the screen, so you only have a 2D impression of myself. But today, I would like to change that and add a few more contours and 3D-ness to my being, so you know who is this person who just joined the club. Usually, people start off by telling where they are from. But given my teeny tiny accent, I think you can guess that I'm not from Japan, but rather from Germany. Instead, I would like to tell you 3 things about me that you probably do not know. First, languages. I really love languages, even though it hasn't been always the case. At school, I hated learning languages because I was more or less forced to. We had to learn languages. English was okay, but then second language, I had to learn Latin for 5 full years, and it was grueling. My third foreign language was French. It was a total catastrophe, so don't even speak about it. But later on, when I started studying, when I did my law degree, I had the chance to pick the languages that I learned myself. And my first love when it comes to languages was Russian. I really loved the language. I loved it so much that I went for an exchange year to study in St. Petersburg. So I went to Russia and immersed myself fully in the culture and, of course, also the language. And I learned it so intensively that I even started dreaming in Russian. And over the course of the years, I also picked up other languages like Arabic, Farsi, Polish, and bits and pieces of additional languages. And I'm always happy when I have a chance to apply my language skills. Let it be talking to Russians while riding the Trans-Siberian Railway, or talking or rather yelling at taxi drivers in Cairo, or haggling with Chinese saleswomen on the market in Beijing. Languages are great. Second point, nerdy topics. Somehow I attract nerdy topics. Even though it started off all so well, I went to law school. So dull, so mainstream, nothing fancy about it. But then somehow I got off track. I came to Monterey, as our Toastmaster already mentioned, in 2005 to study the non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. And what can even be nerdier than studying how to build bioweapons or nukes and even get credits for it? I would say nerdiness factor 100. But it continued that way. Later on, when I joined the German Federal Foreign Service, I, inter alia, while serving at the embassy in Moscow, had to become an expert on the Russian laws the governments used to suppress its own people. Very sobering, but also very nerdy. And now, after having left the Foreign Service, I work at the Swiss IP office, so the Office for Intellectual Property, the equivalent of the USPTO, where I keep myself busy with questions like, is it possible to register a trademark for a virtual t-shirt that your avatar works in the metaverse? Or can inventions that artificial intelligence comes up with, can they be patented? Also very nerdy, but I think super interesting. And finally, point number 3. I like to go the extra mile, literally. I love endurance sports, and I'm eager trying to find my physical and mental barriers and limits. For many years, I've been a reason runner. I ran twice, 3 times a week because I know it is good for my health and I should do it. But I didn't enjoy it. At some point, it totally changed. I thought there has to be more to it. And so I registered for a 10K run and I survived it. So I registered for a half marathon. And guess what? I survived it. Next in line, a full marathon. Yes, I did it. Okay, but what comes next? I got into triathlon and did everything from a short distance to a full Ironman distance. And I also, and I survived it, and I did it across the finish line. What's next? Ultra running. So everything beyond the marathon distance. And that gave me some great impressions. So I had a chance to run over the frozen Lake Baikal in Siberia, or I ran nearly 100 miles in the Altai Mountains at the Chinese border, or 160 miles through the Simpson Desert in Australia. I think I can guess what many of you think now. Lars, you should have mentioned this in the nerdy area, not here in sports. Because this is not sports, this is masochism. And probably you're right. But like it's always a case with masochism, I thoroughly enjoy it. Dear fellow Toastmasters, now you know 3 things about me. The 3D version of myself. I love languages, I love or attract nerdy topics, and long distances do not scare me. Madam Toastmaster.